With thanks to MSC, the teams crossed the ditch for round 5 of the MSC Tasman Revival Series to the fast and flowing Phillip Island in Melbourne.
You've been doing very well all year. You were dominant at Hampton Downs. I mean, where are you in the series at the moment, and what are your plans for this weekend?
Well, we're 16 points behind in the series. The reason for not getting up there closer now is that we missed the first round in New Zealand at Manfield, but hey, we're in with a big show, and Steve Ross, I mean, he's leading it, and hey, it doesn't matter. The championship's good to have, but at the end of the day, we won it last year, and I'm sure if Steve wins, it'll be a good boost for him. And it's not going to make any difference. All I want to do is win races, and we've won 8 out of 8 the last 2 starts. So,
Chris, second position in qualifying yesterday. What are your plans going into the first race today here at Phillip Island?
Like all of us, we're trying to get to the front. We've got Kenny beside me, which is going to be interesting. We had a fuel pressure issue in qualifying, so we didn't get the top end of what we wanted. We were quick on Thursday. I went under my lap record, so that was good. We're just going to try and get back to that. Kenny's going to be really quick because he's tapped into his car this year, and he's making a big comeback, as both of us are, to have a crack at Steve Ross. It's going to be an amazing race, side by side into the first corner. It's going to be incredible.
Well, Steve Ross, you're currently leading the championship at the moment. What are your plans going into the first race here this morning at Phillip Island?
Oh, we've got 3rd place at the moment. Very, very fast track. We'll see what happens after the first corner. We can only try.
After struggling with various engine issues at the 2 New Zealand Festival of Motor Racing Bruce McLaren meetings in New Zealand, former series champion Chris Hyde set the 2nd quickest lap in qualifying and went on to win the first race of the weekend from Kenny Smith, championship points leader Steve Ross and Tony Richards. However, Hyde was pushed all the way to the victory by the fastest qualifier Kenny Smith. Again, Smith going into this weekend just 16 points behind Steve Ross in the title defence of the series he won last season. So Chris Hyde taking out race 1 at Phillip Island from Kenny Smith, who was the fastest qualifier. Steve Ross third, the championship leader from Tony Richards, Ian Clements and Sefton Gibb.
Chris, congratulations. What was it like out there?
Thanks, Brett. That was great. It was a bit slippery out there on turn 2, as you could see with the boys falling off the track and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had a bit of an issue when the restart with the fuel pressure and stuff. So it didn't help. So I was looking at my rear vision mirror, thinking Kenny was going to climb on me, but. It was good fun. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Kenny's a hard charge, and he was all over me at certain points of the track, but we had a little bit of legs on it on another couple of 3 points. So luckily it was down the main straight where we lost our horsepower. We had a bit of a break with him around the back, but it was a great race. Kenny's cool, and he's so trustworthy to be beside. The only person you want beside you is Kenny on this race.
And with the crowds flocking to every vantage point to watch the MSC Tasman Revival Series at Phillip Island, it was Chris Hyde and Kenny Smith starting alongside each other for race number 2. Hyde got the initial jump, again chased by Kenny Smith. Steve Ross, Tony Richards, Ian Clements and Sefton Gibb. And like race number 1, it was Hyde and Smith. Smith with this opportunity. Hyde, though, holding on to the lead. And the battle's right through the field. But out front, it was still Hyde, chased by Kenny Smith. Until a crucial part of the race, where Hyde slowed and then stopped after an ignition wire broke behind his car's dashboard, causing his retirement. So Kenny Smith would win the 2nd race at Phillip Island. So drama for Chris Hyde. Kenny Smith back on track with a win ahead of Tony Richards, Steve Ross, Ian Clements, Sefton Gibb and Greg Thornton in the Surtees. So it was all on for race number 3. Chris Hyde would be starting deep in the field from position 19 with Richards and Smith from the front row down to turn 1. Wonderful conditions. Kenny Smith back at his best, chased by Steve Ross initially, Ian Clements and Mark Dwyer, and the now number 2 Lola T332. On lap 2, there was a clash between Calvin Bonney and Neil Glover. That brought out the safety car. That certainly helped Chris Hyde. He was up into the 4th position off the restart. Again, led away by Kenny Smith. Kiwi Russell Greer was having an entertaining battle with the 7 of Darcy Russell. Good old-fashioned Trans-Tasman rivalry between the Kiwi and the Australian. Just inside the top 10, with Brett Willis not too far behind them in the orange number 16 Lola T332. But Kenny Smith was controlling things out in front. Steve Ross second, now chased by Chris Hyde, the big mover in the field from position 19 after his dramas. But the checkered flag would fly for Kenny Smith, 2 out of 3 for the weekend. Steve Ross second, Chris Hyde third. The championship battle very, very tight, going to Melbourne for the final round.
Well, we couldn't ask for better. No, it was a good weekend, and it was a bit of a lonely race out in front, and when you're out there, you're just sort of thinking about keeping on the road and not doing anything stupid. First 2 or 3 laps I tried to stretch. The last 3 or 4 I just backed it off and kept a look in the mirror to where I was, and then it nearly trapped me because I came over the hill at the last lap and there was 3 slower cars, and I'd have followed them all the way on the straight right to the start line. There was no room to get past them. I'd spread across the track, and the next thing I see these 2, Steve and Chris, coming at a million mile an hour, but I knew I had time to get to the track, you know, but hey, it was close.
Ken's very hard to beat at the moment. He's been the man to beat for the last 3 or 4 rounds, so we'll be pushing our luck, I'd say, but hey, we're trying hard.
Yeah, it was a close one. We were missing a couple of laps, I think, at the end of the race. I could have done with 2 more, but from coming to the back of the grid all the way through, it was a lot of fun, very interesting moments. I had in mind the Melbourne Grand Prix all the way through the field, so it was pretty dynamic race and some really interesting views in front of me, and everyone's going so fast and so hard. We had a really good run down the bottom of the hill coming up over the top, so that was fun.
Headed to Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix finale. Steve Ross with just a 6-point lead over Kenny Smith, with Ian Clements in third. Kerry McIntosh continuing to lead Class A.